Oh, it ain't nothing like kicking that Boston tail when people thought you would not. Welcome to the Sixers Talk podcast brought to you by Wilmington University, Wilm Works, Danny Pommells, and Ben Berry, our producer extraordinaire. What is that?
Oh, I was just got my Deezus and Mero.
Oh, okay. All right,
cool. Remember Deezus and Mero?
I do remember them. I was upset they broke up. Actually, a funny thing about Deezus and Mero, not to get off topic, but my wife bought me tickets to go see them.
Before the pandemic when they were in town?
The pandemic came and I couldn't go.
Oh, so, sorry.
There's that. But we are happy talking Sixers because they coming off a game one win. James Harden, 45 points, erupting in a way that you didn't think he could turn back the clock like that, and he did. He came out helping the Sixers establish themselves offensively and then finished the game with a big shot. And it was ho-hum after the game. Like, this is what I do. But Harden coming out and showing what he's made of when the team needed him the most because Joel Embiid, he's helpful coming in. He supposedly had like some plaza enrichment on his knee in order to facilitate the healing in that area. I'm not a doctor, but he is going through treatment. Was not ready to go here today, despite warming up on the court. But Ben, how are you feeling? What are your thoughts? Where are you at with it?
I'm feeling good. Let's start off with James Harden. Played phenomenal. Big baskets.
You didn't think he still had that. You weren't sure he could turn back the clock like that.
Well, no, I didn't. I think that's reasonable to come to that conclusion before today's game. I thought he would have it here and there. I wasn't sure we would see it tonight, but 45, a big 45. It seemed like he cooled off at moments in the third quarter, but in the fourth quarter, hit big shots. That three to put the Sixers up for good. At one point, he ties his career playoff high at 45. He scored 45 in Game 4 against the Warriors in 2015. Big shots. He was distributing.
Hold up. He's playing like 2015, James Harden? I mean, you talk about 8-year difference. Impressive, bro. Give the man his credit.
Oh, no. I'm giving him his roses. He played phenomenal for long stretches. He was the carrier. He was the Sixers offense. Forget carrying it. That would imply other people was putting up baskets at some point. He was doing everything he could. And when the Celtics got up, he did not let the Sixers wither and bow down. Like, he carried the team through and through.
Yeah, he carried them. And it was surprising, because Boston seemed like they were on their game. It seemed like they had everything working in their favor and they would pull it out down the stretch like we've seen them do in the past because of their shot makers. But the referees were letting them play. DeAnthony Melton came to play in the first half, which was a nice accompaniment to what James Harden was doing. Melton 5 for 5 on threes in the first half. And this is the reason why you get these guys and Paul Reed showing up and playing some valuable minutes, because I wasn't sure the Sixers would be able to hang with the way the Celtics were walking to the hoop.
Before you keep going, not only positive minutes from Paul Reed, 2 big free throws at the end of the game. Four. Yeah, real big free throws. Couple of text messages from people like, thought he was going to melt under pressure. Thought those knees was going to buckle. Man, he shot all those like he had been there before.
Yeah, that was clutch, man. And just the maturation process and him coming along and following through with what the coaches are trying to teach him. And I didn't know he was clutch from the free throw line like that. The Sixers really needed them. Obviously, you see how tight the game was. 4-point swing. You could say those 4 points that Paul Reed contributed were the difference in the game. And I was pleased with the way the refs let them play. I don't know if that'll be how the series plays out, if it carries through into game 2 on Wednesday and then when they come to South Philly. And I'm not going to get outside of myself. Yeah, the Sixers were 12-5 this season with Joel Embiid, including the playoffs, without Joel Embiid, including the playoffs. I'm not going to get ahead of myself and think that they can replicate this in game 2, but I'm going to take this game 1 for what it is and be happy with that. Because your prime objective is to at least win 1 game here so that when you come back to South Philly, you can kind of build on that and hopefully protect your home court. So mission accomplished for the 76ers, winning 1 of the 2 in Boston. Hopefully they can play similarly on Wednesday, but Boston is going to be a little upset. I was enjoying seeing the struggle faces on those fans at the end.
It was
what a way to end the day.
It was important for them to not only win one in Boston, but not waste such a great game from James Harden.
Right.
For him to drop 45 and them to come away with a win. When Embiid's not playing, they stole one in Boston. And that is crucial going forward. Because whether you want to admit it or not, you know it, I know it. Some fans don't want to admit it. The Celtics for a while have had the Sixers number. And like Maxey is not, through his career, has not played well against the Celtics. James Harden, like we talked about the playoffs, he hasn't played well. Dropped a big 45 tonight. So to get this win, to come out of game one with the win is huge. Then not hypothetically, like hopefully the Sixers get the big man Joel Embiid back Wednesday. Who knows what can happen after that?
Yeah, man. And so much has been made about what Doc Rivers may or may not contribute to this playoff run. And I thought that he did a great job of mixing up the rotations and pulling guys out who weren't quite contributing. It was a tighter rotation. It wasn't quite 9 men. I think they went 8 deep. Jalen McDaniels, Niang, Anthony Melton off the bench were the only players who played there. So I give credit to Doc Rivers. Niang didn't quite have it. McDaniels was a nice substitution. I thought he went a little long with McDaniels and should have went more with Paul Reed, but in the end, it didn't matter. Reed was on the floor when it mattered, when he should be, and McDaniels gave some valuable minutes. But it just goes to show, man, the depth of this Boston team. There was a couple of times I thought that they were going to break the game open, but the Sixers were making shots. But excuse me, they just can get more people who contribute and factor into the winning or losing than the Sixers do. And hey, I mean, the Sixers get this win regardless of how they got it. And it was a moment there where I thought that the game was going to get away from them, but
it seemed like it. I know exact moment you're talking about. It seemed like it.
Also, there was, a couple of weird non-calls by the referees or inconsistent calls, because maybe they were getting certain calls earlier in the game or at different points of the game, and then those same calls weren't coming through late. But I just couldn't believe the way they threw the ball away to Maxey when the shot clock was winding down and he got that breakaway dunk. That kind of changed the momentum a little bit. But Doc Rivers wins the Joe Mazzulla matchup, and the Sixers come away with this big victory. I think going into game 2, Boston is going to really try to exploit going to the basket more and take advantage of, the Sixers not having a rim protector there if Joel doesn't play. With them winning game 1, I wouldn't even think about putting Joel out there for game 2. I would just wait until he came home, because your objective was to win one of these 2 games. The objective has been accomplished. Joel Embiid can get more rest, continue to ramp him up with, his pregame routine or whatever. But I wouldn't even think about playing him on Wednesday.
Ooh, I think I got to disagree with you there. I think if he's healthy enough to play, you play him. I think if he's healthy enough to play, you have to play him, because who knows? We've seen crazy things happen in sports. Getting 1 out of 2 in Boston is great. If you can come back to Philly Friday up 2-0, that's even better. So if he's healthy enough to play, I don't say you scratch that like, oh, we can come back 1-1. No, you go out there and try to win the game. So that's
you go out and try to win.
Yeah, I mean but if he's healthy enough to play, like,
well, this is my thing, is that styles make fights. So you had this game tonight where the Sixers were able to keep up with Boston's tempo, where the tempo will be different with Joel Embiid. Okay, you'll have the rim protection, but the tempo will be a little bit different, and there will be more Embiid, holding the ball, setting up, doing his thing, and the rest of the guys trying to flow around that. So I think that kind of may have thrown Boston off a little bit, the fact that the Sixers had a different rhythm with Joel Embiid out. And there is a longevity game you're playing here. And yes, you want to be Boston, but there's still the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
And how close Joel Embiid was to playing tonight, I'm not sure. If you list him as doubtful going in, you kind of work him out and see if he's ready to go, and he wasn't quite there. even if he's questionable on the next game, there's still a percentage chance that he's not ready to go. So if you can wait until game 3, if there's an opportunity there to kind of keep his health under control until they come back to South Philly where he can sleep in his own bed and all that stuff, I just think there's something to that.
If he's healthy enough to play, you got to play him. If he's not, like, cool, it's perfectly understandable. I didn't think there was any chance of him playing tonight once that news came out. But if you're thinking like, oh, maybe we can sit him out and rest him longer, several reasons why I don't buy into that thought process. One, there's no guarantee making it to the conference finals or the NBA finals. If you're playing thinking like, oh, we still have another 6 weeks to play, that's not the way to go about things. 2, can you guarantee that you're going to get 71 points from Harden and Maxey in game 2 in Boston? Like, that's not necessarily like a sure thing than 17 from Melton off the bench. 3, like, I don't think Boston is going to shoot that well, especially in the first half again, because they finished the first half like 70% from the field, which was something insane. And Kevin Harlan said on the broadcast, if I remember correctly, he's like the 5th highest in the past like 12 years, like since they started tracking that. However, it's possible. I don't see the Celtics just throwing the ball away like you mentioned a few moments ago when Maxey came up with the steal, which is they just gave it to him. I would like to think a decent team, well-run team, someone's going to want to take that shot at the end of the game, unlike Boston did multiple times coming down the stretch in the fourth quarter tonight. So what I'm saying is you don't hold off playing for the future.
Yeah, I just feel like if he's a game time decision or there's any consternation about whether he's going to be the Embiid that you need or the Embiid that we've seen that hopefully will win the MVP here tomorrow night, I feel like there's a reason to wait. But I think you make some good points, and I'm not going to belabor it, but I just feel like there's a lot to play for, and there's no need to risk whether or not he's healthy or not. Trying to win game 2 in Boston when this game could go 5, 6, or 7 games. But you want to pay some bills here? Talk about one of our title sponsors, Wilmington University. A pleasure to work with them as always. Wilmington University and students are in the game, upskill in fields like cybersecurity, fintech, healthcare, and education, in person or online. Get in the game at Wilmington University. Find us at wilmu.edu. Injured? For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been the #1 personal injury law firm in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Their services are exemplary. Their results are exceptional. Call 1-800-LUNDY-LAW to get the money you deserve. And it's time to rush to new rewards at Rivers Casino. Now there's a whole new way for you to earn, redeem, and level up your rewards. Get your new Rush Rewards card and get more out of your game at Rivers Casino, Philadelphia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Man, Jason Tatum was tough to slow down. Sixers defense was less than leaving some things to be desired at certain points in there, but they're able to come out on top here, 119, 115, and get a surprising game 1 win. Did you think they were going to win, coming in?
No, I did not. I did not.
I did a crossover podcast with the NBC Sports Boston. They were trying to nail me down on who I thought would win the series, and they were just trying to push me into the Celtics direction, influence me to pick the Celtics. In my head and my heart, we're having two different.
Oh, you meant the series? I thought you meant game 1.
No. Did you think they won the series? But
the series?
Yeah. Or game 1. I asked you about game 1.
Okay.
But they asked me about the series, so you can answer both.
The game 1, I didn't expect this out of Harden. I did not, and with Embiid not playing, I wasn't optimistic. With the series overall, I thought the Sixers would get it done at 7. I'm standing by that.
That's what I ended up picking. My head and my heart were having a debate, though, but I went with my heart in the 76ers. But, I mean, you look at what the Celtics have, it's tough to pick against them with the experience and, being there, but almost, but not quite. They have a lot to play for, but the Sixers really showed up when it mattered most. And this has been kind of a weird playoff season. You know what I'm saying? You got the the 6-seeded Warriors and the 7-seeded Lakers playing in the second round. Like who would have expected that?
The NBA, because I know they did not want Grizzlies Sacramento round 2.
But this is not a league of parity, man. This is not a league of the underdogs always winning.
I think it's a league of parity. I think a league of parity and the underdog always winning are two different things. And I say it's a league of parity because I think overall, because I think there were a lot of mid teams this year, like a lot of just average teams.
Pretenders?
Because when people say they want parity, not in the NBA, but any sport, that means there's just not too many great teams that stand out. And I think that's what it was this year. If you look over in the West, he had a bunch of teams between 42 and 50 wins. And in the East, after the top 3 teams, it was a bunch of teams that you could toss up.
Did you see James Harden's pregame fit?
I did not.
All right. I'm going to let you take a look at this. All right. So I'm going to send it to you. And then you take a look at it. I want to get your reaction. But to the people out there, if you have not seen James Harden's pregame fit, we should have known what was about to happen once we saw that fit, because he has a very eccentric way of dressing, and it's his vibe, it's his style.
What is this?
But he showed up with these pants with some flared out bottoms that bell bottoms would be bashful to talk about. Like they were so huge, but I guess
parachute pants.
He was so relaxed,
knitted together,
and his head was held so high. We should have known what was about to happen. The turn back the clock Harden was about to show up, because the fit. You gotta be brave. You gotta be audacious. You gotta be willing to take risks.
You talk about the fit, and it's something, because I still believe to this day a lot of players do that just to get attention, and I think players
is Harden in that category.
I think they do that for attention and seem relaxed and we having a good time. And people always say you get some people that say the greats never did that. Someone always point out the biggest person to do that. I don't want to say offender, because it's not offensive. It's just their thing. Dwayne Wade, who used to always do stuff like that.
What, wear eccentric outfits?
Yeah, wear eccentric outfits, just real wild stuff. You ever notice that he never did that when they were down in the series? They were down 2-0 or 2-1 or something like that. He was never doing stuff like that.
I would have to think back on that. I definitely see what you're saying. I feel like Harden kind of, represents. Maybe he kind of bridged the gap, because the newer guys like Shai Gilgeous and Jordan Clarkson, all those guys who
name 2 guys that's not in the playoffs.
Are we talking about the playoffs or just people wearing the fits? The fits.
The fits in the playoffs.
Oh, the fits in the playoffs. Harden always dresses like that, though.
Does he dress like that when his team about to be eliminated?
Yeah. He's not showing up in a Sixers sweatsuit. He's the type
I'm not saying this. It could be a suit for all I know. It could be a Adidas. I was about to say Nike, but yeah, Adidas guy.
What are you thinking for game 2?
What am I thinking for game 2? I'm thinking the Sixers need to come out strong. I want to say better defensively, but Celtics was just knocking down shots. So I can't expect them to shoot against 70% again in the first half. But just better defense, better communication. And it was a couple of times, because I mentioned it with the Celtics earlier, late in the fourth quarter, but there's times from the Sixers where it looked like nobody wanted to shoot the ball, and we was near each other watching the game, where it was shot clock was running down, and someone had to put up an impossible shot or attempt to. So I want to see any more of that. Maybe some better drawn up plays coming out of timeouts and things like that. But it might be a Celtics evening up the series, coming back 1-1. But a lot of it depends if Embiid plays.
Yeah, I don't know if the Sixers can win, like you said, a shootout with them again. I don't know if they can't win this style of game again. I feel like they need to have a little they bring the tempo down to their the speed down to their tempo, because playing with the Celtics means you have all these interchangeable pieces. So there's just so many guys who can step in and kind of hit that open shot. And I felt like the Sixers did a good job finding people in transition, but it was a second chance points and, them off the dribble going to the rim. But I'm excited about Wednesday's game. I would be disappointed if the Sixers lost, but I would think that, like you said, if Joel is any chance he can play, he's going to be on the floor. I don't think the Sixers think like I do, so I'm not expecting them to kind of put them in mothballs and bubble wrap until they get back to South Philly. But I think if there's any chance he can play, he's going to play, and especially after seeing the intensity of this game one, and he was out on the floor trying to break up that fight between was that when Jason Tatum got hit in the nads?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but I think you're right.
But Embiid was right there in the middle of it with Marcus Smart, and like he wants to play. So
he does.
I don't see any way if he is close to being able to play that he'll.
I do want to see. Can't say he's one of my favorite players, but we talked about this.
Derek White?
No,
the Derek White thing?
Hey, chill. My forehead ain't that bad. I'm supporting the Phillies. They out on the West Coast, and your forehead bigger than mine because
I ain't saying nothing about
you out here tripping. Nah, I ain't planning on being on the pod. I took the twist out, so just got supporting the Phillies. No, because we talked about it. What's the most I'm not him moment in sports? Grant Williams. Yeah. I'm gonna make both of them, and the way he said both, that just missed both foul shots. I was hoping to see him play, get a little burn tonight because I was hoping to see that again.
Nah, I think the Sixers have a chance, man. But a lot more basketball to play, so we will be here.
Have you been watching the other series? Have you been watching the other series?
I saw them. I didn't watch the Knicks Heat game one.
That was a lot of fun.
But I watched the Warriors and Kings game 7.
And Steph just carried them.
Yeah,
he just looked around. Was like, "Yo, if this gonna happen, it's gonna be me. Get on my back, boys."
They started talking too crazy. I heard that after they won
game 6.
Yeah,
so they looked old.
And somebody was like, apparently, one of my friends who works in the Bay Area said that their press conference room is not too far from the court,
right?
And you could hear people screaming, light the beam,
right?
Light the beam, and that disrupted the press conference, and it was just like they were getting ahead of themselves. You know what I'm saying? So the dynasty continues.
It continues. Phoenix and Denver. Phoenix Suns, they got a lot of high-end players. They have no bench.
Hey, you know what?
And they look winded playing at that altitude.
I suddenly don't want the Suns to win. I used to like Monty Williams and think of them as like an underdog story. Now I just think they're too top heavy. Like they got too many good players.
But they have no bench. They have no rotation. I'm just interested. Like they really look like they don't like each other out there. Well, more like Ayton don't like them. Him yelling at Chris Paul to catch the pass that Calvin Johnson wouldn't have been able to catch.
I mean,
him not trying to get a rebound. That's whole thing is interesting to watch. I think we're going to see a Denver, LA, or Denver, Golden State.
Yeah, it's almost like the Warriors and Lakers is like the de facto conference finals. Like that's the game, the series everybody wants to see. But hopefully these Sixers continue to take steps forward, and Sixers Heat Eastern Conference Finals would be pretty cool. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's hope this game 2 goes the Sixers' way. Hopefully Joel Embiid is back to as close to 100% as possible. We will be here with you every step of the way, per usual. For Ben Berry, I'm Danny Pommells. This has been the Sixers Talk Podcast, brought to you by Wilmington University. WilMU Works.